Welcome to the Homeschool Together podcast. Where one working mom and a stay-at-home dad help you navigate the nuts and bolts of the growing and dynamic world of homeschooling.
With a focus on early learners, like me.
All the ins and outs of building and maintaining your homeschool life.
Homeschool.
Find out tips and tricks to make things like this easier.
I'm reading.
And ultimately, enjoy educating your kids. And what's that last thing?
Have fun together. Did I do good, Daddy?
Yeah, you did, sweetie. Good job. Hello, and welcome back to Homeschool Together. Thank you for joining us. You too may have some mad money out there, like Ariel's just was talking about. You know, what she wants to spend, maybe on a quarter share of NVIDIA or something like that.
We should talk about this as part of our leveling up, our accountability.
No. From
executive functioning.
From the accountability buddy.
Oh yeah.
And if it's for money, it's an accountability bucket. You can toss your money in. Speaking of money, if you have a few dollar bucks out there, bluey bucks, head down into our Gumroad page and see if there's something there that might help you in the coming year. Today we're going to be talking about that coming year. We have been talking about standards the last few weeks, but this is our podcast, and we can do whatever we want. And
we were like, we're really busy, and we're going to take a little break and talk about back to homeschool.
We've been very intense, and I think we need something a little bit more light, a little bit more, the amuse-bouche of the before we get the tomahawk steak again.
Yeah, before we go into decoding standards, which we know is going to be maybe a slightly drier. We'll make it fun. I promise.
We'll tell lots of jokes.
But we do want to do that because it's important. But yeah, we were sitting here and we're like, man, everyone's going back to school right now. We're getting ready to go back to our parent partnership.
Back to school supplies are now in the clearance section at Walmart.
Right.
Which
is super exciting.
It's super exciting. So if you need stuff for the homeschool, it's a great time.
Oh yeah, all the backpacks, everything.
Oh yeah, I had my friend. I went to Walmart because I had to get something for the dog, of course, and I went to the clearance section, and my friend was there, and he was holding the Pokemon book backpack, and he was like, "Oh my gosh, I paid full price for this 2 weeks ago. Now it's half off." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, you got to remember we start a little bit later."
That's right. We can do whatever we want. We thought it was important to just kind of back to homeschool. I'm seeing everybody's back to school poster pictures. Our kids will go up soon.
We got time. 5 more days.
So just so you know, before I forget about this, I have a back to school Canva template that's on our Gumroad site. So Canva's free, and you just get the template and you just fill in all of your kiddos' stuff.
Yeah,
and
check it out.
And then you can print them for $2 at the UPS store or your FedEx Kinko's or wherever you want as an 11 by 17. And then you can do one of those cool hold up the poster things. So it's all set.
This is our 16-year project that we're doing here all the way through.
That's right.
I have an ongoing thing with the sports pictures that I do. That I actually pick up my daughters for the coach's photo that I get.
It's like a buddy photo.
And the buddy photos, but I pick them up and I hold them in my arms. And I'm going to see how long I can hold my girls in my arms before I can't do it anymore. But that being said, there's a lot of back to school rituals, back to homeschooling rituals. Maybe you're starting homeschooling for the first time this year. In the first few months, I have met dozens and dozens of homeschoolers who had the wide-eyed fears in the last few weeks and ran into them and talked to them and kind of calmed them down. I know it can be scary. It can be a little anxiety feeling. You're doing something new and exciting in some respects, but also kind of scary. So if you're out there and you're looking for a little bit of motivation, hopefully today's podcast will be that motivation for you.
Yeah, I think, even if this isn't the start of your, we kind of homeschool year round, right? So there's really not a start of the year. It just kind of keeps moseying. But if your kids are involved in any kind of activities, if it's sports or dance,
sports
or
start next week,
karate or whatever it is, right? You're going to be leveling up. So they're going to be going up to the next level of whatever it is. Not every year, but this is kind of that general leveling up time. So, and all the back to school supplies are out. And so even if we're not kind of operating on that calendar, if you do any kind of activities, you are operating a bit. And it does feel like a time of kind of, birth and change or renewal or whatever we want to call it.
Yeah.
It definitely, we feel it even though we're not we're homeschooling year round. So I'm sure you're feeling it too. And we've been talking a lot lately about how we're going to level things up with our daughters, because they're leveling up, and some of the classes are taking in their music lessons, in their scouts, they're leveling up. And how do we like level them up in our homeschool?
Yeah.
And this is the perfect time to do it as the start of the school year kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think with the needs for us, we have some career needs that we're doing here in the next 4 or 5 months. I have a lot of things on my plate. You have a lot of things on your plate.
A lot.
I know you listening at home have a lot of things on your plate. It could be school for you as an adult. It could be a change in career. It could be the 80 animals you have in your backyard. Whatever it is, you have things occurring in your life. And as our children begin to get a little bit older, we are beginning to expect a little bit more. And then I like this term, the leveling up, because, as they go around, they don't need as much more of our input. Yeah. Now, if you have a 5-year-old or a 4-year-old, obviously, we're not throwing them to the wolves just yet. But it's funny because I remember being in that situation, and I remember it being a very high touch situation with respect to educating and doing the homeschool. But now that we're about to mint a double-digit 10-year-old in a month or so, it does feel like, oh my gosh, we're having to evolve and change. It feels like it's kind of funny, like homeschooling kind of mimics child raising. Yeah. It's like just right when you feel you get your feet under it, and you understand what you're doing, and you know how to proceed, something changes or something starts to bend in a little bit of a different way, and we have to account for that and whatnot. And this idea of autonomy, executive functioning, all that type of buzzwords that we have around our kids, but basically them becoming adults, and they have to start doing things for themselves. And let's talk a little bit about some of the ideas of leveling up. And I feel like our 6-year-old is getting pushed into leveling up probably faster than what you would expect of like a normal 6-year-old. But she has always been so much further ahead with respect to like behavior, like just talking, walking and talking, and then reading and math, and just like social skills are through the roof, because she just goes along with her sister a lot of times.
That's common for lots of younger siblings.
I've heard that, where like the second and the third kiddos are just way more advanced than that first kid was, because they're just surrounded by older kids that can speak and walk and talk and have a lot more complex relationships. I mean, just watching them have to debate what they're going to watch on Saturday morning cartoons. The oldest one wants to watch, some Malibu rescue show or something like that. And the other one's like, I want to watch cartoons. What are we doing here? Like, it's just that difference and what they feel and experience. Yeah,
I'm kind of getting this kind of pre-teenish.
We got a little pre-teeny element to her right now.
So we're definitely kind of dealing with two different stages. But
so let's talk about leveling up. First is general expectations, leveling up that is like essentially family wide. Like I think we're getting back into more planning and more, because I think when you have a lot going on, you just need to be prepped more, which means you need to have a little bit more foresight than like, okay, we woke up today, what are we doing? We need to have that vision, not just in meal planning, not just in like the schedule on the wall, but like homeschooling, who's got the kids at certain times. We have the plates now have all gone up onto the spin, the spinning things. And we're right now we're starting to ramp up.
And
the speed.
I am feeling it. And when I get stressed, I make plans. That's just how I cope with that. So, with everything we've got going on with your school and work and all that stuff, and my work, and I've got a new theater show going on, and the kids starting activities and starting classes, we're going to be pretty chaotic here for the next bit. And we've gotten out of the habit.
Till the end of the year, at least.
At least. And we've gotten out of the habit of, planning super rigidly when we did our second, trekking the globe. And then we've been doing our summer of science with space science.
Summer of slackers.
It's been a bit more loosey-goosey. It's like, here's the books that we've got, and here's some activities, and we have some movies and games and things. And we've been kind of free-forming it. And those days are going to be gone because we can't anymore. So I'm reviving my use of Trello. If you haven't used Trello, it's great. It's free. And there's a lot you can do with the free. I've never even had to pay for it. And I have dozens of boards. And I have a whole series of videos on YouTube of a whole beginner kind of course series to teach you how to use Trello. Now, that's published a few years back. So there's some aesthetic changes, but basically it all works the same. So if you've never done it, check that out. But
I'll put a link in the show notes.
yeah, it's a really great series. But what we've done is I'm setting up a Trello board for the week that has just some high level stuff about like what's the big thing that's happening that night so we can be prepared. Hey, this is a dance night. This is a volleyball night. This is a mom's at the theater tonight kind of thing, whatever it is. So the girls have some expectations. And then in each of those lists for each day is the different things we have to do, whether that's music practice or sports practice or, the sports practice at home with you. I mean, or math or reading or the extra social studies workbooks they're doing or whatever it is. And we're having to do that because I'm going to have to step up and do a lot more of the homeschooling. And your parents are going to help us with some homeschooling one day. We're going to have a little bit more complex schedule.
Yeah, we're group homeschooling for at least for the next 4 months.
Yeah, which is, going to be a challenge to just all of a sudden be sharing this kind of round robin of homeschool. But the leveling up part of it is that Trello board is now on our daughter's iPad. Which she only gets usually for a reward to do some screen time after, she's done her homeschool and things.
And we'll talk about the new reward.
We'll talk about that. But right now, it's there. And so she can look at it and she can know exactly what she has to do.
Yeah.
And we're asking her to level up a little bit and help her sister get to walk her sister to her next class or to...
And just to be clear, we go to a parent partnership.
Right. It's like elective type classes.
Yeah, elective classes, yeah.
Yeah, so they get to take whatever fun things they want, whether it's dance or woodworking or robots or whatever.
Jewelry making.
Jewelry, yeah. So there's that piece of it where we're going to ask her to do that, but we're also, this is here on the iPad so she can see this is the stuff we have to do, and if her sister has a question, she knows exactly how many workbook pages she has to do. We're at that level now where you talked about being high touch when they were younger, and now that they're getting older, they're both doing workbooks independently. And our older daughter does hers independently completely, but she's able to read the prompts for the younger one.
That's another area of leveling up where, we're doing this planning, we're doing all this type of stuff, but also she is helping along the way with her younger one, which, we have some 180 days books. I have another workbook I think is a science workbook, and then she has her handwriting book, which is Star Wars themed handwriting book and whatnot, and a bunch of cool workbooks. But sometimes she needs a little bit of assistance, like in the social studies 180 days for first grade, I think is the book. I'll put a link in the show notes.
It's a good book.
And all her sister does is read her the passage, read her the questions, and then she circles the right answer and whatnot. And she's able to help me do that with her if I need to go do something else, or if they're going to have to sit in kind of like a common area and wait for the end of the hour or something like that. They can work together and get those work done. Now, I wouldn't let her do like the math work as much. Maybe if the
math and reading is still parent
it's still
guidance.
something I'm doing heavily, and obviously the space science stuff as well. But just these like little ancillary things that we do to help backfill certain areas. Some of these are easy enough that my older student can actually help my younger student. And this has been, kind of a new revelation for me. And there may be parents listening to this as well that have a little bit of an older student who can assist in that manner. If you're thinking like maybe if you have 3 students and you have like a 14 or 15-year-old and maybe like a 10-year-old and then like a 6-year-old, you can have that 14-year-old help that 6-year-old in that work while you then get to work with the middle student. These type of cool things and these leveling up are things that we're starting to do, but also giving that ownership and then that sense of independence, I think is part of that as well.
Yeah. And I think it's a balance a little bit, right? Yeah. Because we don't want our older daughter to feel like, she's got to do her homeschool and then she has to help her sister as well. And that's a burden, but it's also
just the backdoor way of me getting her to read more.
Yeah, we told her, we're like, we kind of said like, hey, actually, this responsibility of helping mentor is part of your homeschool.
Yeah, right.
But we are asking them to do a lot more work independently with their writing time, that they work more independently. We're asking our daughters to have more personal responsibility when it comes to something like their music practice. We can't watch them every second. They need to go and practice their instruments and what their teachers have told them to practice. And, we're going to check in on them. So it's kind of, we're giving them a little bit of leeway. We're going to I have a regular check-in each week on Friday. We're going to be checking in with the work that they've been doing, making sure that they're on track, that if there's anything they need for classes the next week, that we're prepared. But yeah, we're going to be going back to this Trello system, and we as a family are going to be leveling up to use this common system as a way for you and I to communicate, and with your mom, about where everyone's at, right? At the beginning of the week, this is the stuff that we have to do for the whole week. And, we can do it in different order or whatever, but this is what's got to happen. And that way we all know where we each have to pick up from each other. So there's going to be a lot of passing that baton back and forth. And we're telling our daughters, this is going to be our life like from now on, that you have to be prepared to have multiple people doing. Have always been the primary educator, and now it's going to be a bit more of a group effort.
As far as everything goes, it's probably, in reality, it's really just the next 4 to 5 months, and then it'll kind of like,
for now,
it'll kind of slip back into kind of.
Eventually, it's going to be even more.
It could be over time. It could be It could be more, and it'd be good to start to build those types of. That understanding and that independence and whatnot. Not that I want to lose touch with their education. That's maybe something that will, not that I will lose touch, but having more independence. It was funny. I met a father, and he was talking about, it's a great situation. He goes, I have a really awesome, student who's in high school, and they're great in math. And I'm like, wow, that's awesome. And he goes, yeah, but it's also kind of scary. He goes, my son is doing math that I don't know how to do.
Right.
And he's outstripping my capacity to do, like, it's beyond trig. It's like pre-calculus, maybe borderline calculus. And he goes, I can kind of reverse engineer and I can read the section and follow along. But he goes, I feel like I'm starting to lose touch, and I'm losing touch, and I can't catch to them without me learning that subject as well. And that's kind of like, that's a moment where you're like, wow, that's a great experience, but hopefully I'll never be at that situation where I'll lose touch in that way, unless she becomes a concert violinist or something like that. She's already lost touch with me already, but but in things like that is I want to maintain connection to their education. I don't want to just like outsource it to workbooks and do it yourself thing. I will always keep an eye on that and be part of that education. But there will be things that I can outsource to them that they have enough autonomy to be able to complete on their own. Yeah.
Yeah. And part of what we're doing with this too is telling them these are the things we need to do. And they were asking, like, are we going to have to start homeschooling on the weekends? Which we've always kind of off and on had to homeschool on the weekends. Yeah. It depends what our week looked like. Was somebody sick? Did we have a bunch of appointments? Whatever. And we told them, like, well, this is going to be the list of things we need to do. Mm-hmm. If that whole list is done, then no. But if it's not, then yes. Right? So they're like, oh, they're figuring it out. Like, oh, okay, this is some of this is on our shoulders. I think they feel more in control of whether they're going to homeschool when and how. And so not that, we're giving up all control of that, but I think they're feeling like,
I think we're maturing as homeschooling parents. Yeah. We're moving out of the one-on-one thing where we're starting to say, okay, you can do stuff. I think we realized that this summer when we did a little bit more of the visual display of what was coming up.
Yeah,
and then offering them the options. And I've done this in the last maybe month or so where I said, hey, listen, Daddy would like to sleep in on Friday tomorrow, but I need you to get homeschool done. And then we got a lot of stuff going on, and I want to be able to get this done. It's 6:30 or 7 o'clock tonight. If you guys can get your math work done now and maybe knock out your workbooks, we won't have much other than reading and maybe a few other small things, like me reading you some space science stuff. Mm-hmm. Do you want to do that? And they're like, heck.
And you could do morning cartoons.
And then you can do morning cartoons instead. and they're like, yeah, I want to do that. Like
Yeah.
them making that choice. I've
They
really realized them giving them the power to make the choice on when and where they want to do their education. They do it. And it's a lot less frustrating for them, and they feel motivated to it. And it really just is keying in on that idea of the motivation, but also the ownership, and having the trust and the confidence to know that your kids will, be able to make those decisions. And I was fully prepared for them to say, no, I don't want to. It's too late. Like, okay, that's fine. But you understand the situation. And I like that, where they can say, okay, I want them to start thinking ahead, a little bit of the executive functioning, time management, making choices, task management, starting to be able to take on tasks themselves. They make that decision. And that's a level of maturity I haven't seen before from them, but also like, even as a homeschool parent, sometimes you got to like let go just a little bit and let them swim. You got your arms still around them, but they're kind of floating in the water in front of you. I think that's kind of it's just maturity all around, just from our own standpoint and also from the kids' standpoint.
Yeah, we recently went away for a few days, and we had some things we needed to get done while we were there. And I said, hey, this is what we have to get done while we're here. If you want to do it all today, or you want to take 2 days or 3 days to do it, whatever you want to do. And they were like, sure, let's do it all. So they really were motivated. And I like that concept of giving them some choice, a little bit of independence. I think it does make it an easier sell. And I know that our new reward.
All right. So we've done the leveling up. Let's talk about the new reward.
The new way that they're doing everything. So when we were on our trip to Hawaii together, we did a little kid-free vacation in August, and
highly recommend.
Yeah, it was fabulous.
10 out of 10 would do it again.
Thank you, Grandma and Grandpa. Anyway, so we did that, and I just wanted something to play that was really light, that wasn't going to require a crazy learning curve, and that was just kind of cozy. And so I started playing Stardew Valley, and I've never played that before. It's a farming simulator type game.
It was like a playful.
It was all playful. Yeah. It's a top down kind of, build your farm and things. And it was $5 on iOS. And so it has no ads or anything. Yep. If you have not played this game, this is the cutest, wholesomest game ever. You're like this little person farming, and you can buy seeds and plant them, and then you can go in the mine for ore, and you can go to the town and meet people and make friendships and give them gifts, and there's fishing, and you literally can't die. I think if you ran out of money, like your dad sends you more, like you can't. Nothing bad can happen in this game. There's really
stakes are low.
And it goes through every day of different seasons as you're planting things, or you're harvesting crops, or building a barn and getting cows and milking the cows and the whole thing. It's super duper cute. And so because I had it on iOS, and we have we're a family on Apple. The kids both were able to get it on the iPads that they have. And so this is our newest thing. And our kids have been playing like crazy. So every time that we get home or something go, well, I'm like, hey, can we have some tablet time? I'm like, well, we need to clean up the room. We need to put the dishes away. We got to do this homeschool thing, whatever.
Got to get everything ready for tomorrow. Get your lunches and bags made. And
right. Everything. And they're like, no problem. And they're like, they're gone. And they take care of all of it. And they come back, okay. Can we play now? Are we good? And it's funny because they even chose this morning it's a weekend day. Spoiler alert, we're actually recording on a weekend because this is when we work. But anyways, this morning, instead of, they were watching TV, and I was actually playing this morning because I was trying to get myself woken up, and I was like, okay, I'll play for a few minutes. And they saw it, and they were like, oh, you're playing, can we play? I said, oh, you mean instead of doing your morning TV time? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, a screen's a screen. Okay. Yeah, sure. And they sit there, but they're making all these great decisions, right?
They're having to read. Even our youngest is like quasi reading the text.
Right. And even though she can't read everything, she can still totally play. And our almost 10-year-old, she's like, oh, Mom, can you pull this up on the Stardew Valley wiki for me? I want to read about it. Mm-hmm. So I'm like authorizing that on her iPad so she can actually go and read. It's like when a kid wants to play a video game, but they spend all this time reading the game guide.
I had this happen. My aunt with my cousins when they were a lot younger, they were playing Pokemon. And she goes, oh, you only get a half-hour video game. And they had like a Nintendo DS or something,
something like
whatever one of those systems were. And she felt terrible because she would walk in and they're sitting there poring over the game guide.
Yeah.
And they're trying to figure it out, and they would only get like 5 or 10 minutes to play the game. And she goes, all right, well, I'll give you an hour because you guys are just sitting there reading a book the whole time, right? I felt bad. And she goes, I felt really bad. So she ended up like giving him more time. And you're right. Yeah. Like if you
that's what this is like.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Our daughter's like, pull up the wiki for me all about the barn. I want to learn everything I need to about how to, upgrade my barn and what I can do and how I do hay, for my animals. And so, anyway, if you haven't played this game or your kids haven't, I wanted something that was like ad-free and very wholesome. Stardew Valley. It's really
ad-free,
wonderful.
no in-app purchases.
Yep, no in-app purchases. It was $5, best $5 ever. So that's been our new big reward thing. And actually, in our Trello thing for every day, I have a block there, a card that says unlock 30 minutes of tablet time. And in there, they have to check off all the things. And that's where it's like the homeschool that they've done, but also their chores for the day.
Awesome.
And they've got to check off all those things. And then when that's done, they have unlocked 30 minutes of tablet time.
I think using the board, having this kind of checklist type of idea is a great way for them to learn kind of organizing tasks, managing tasks, understanding that, I have to complete things before I get other things. These are great life skills that we haven't really had the joke this morning when we were just having dinner, maybe an hour ago, our oldest was looking up at our wall graveyard of planning options where we had calendars, we had Kanban boards. We have tried everything, and we're doing yet another one but we're actually pushing it down to them to manage. And I think this is kind of like a wrinkle that's a little different, asking our older student to manage the Trello board on her tablet in order to help them make it through the day and understanding all the things that they need to do. I think these are going to be really good skills that I think are going to translate forward, especially if she starts doing her own tasks and she needs some assistance. We'll be like, well, listen, you can either make your own Trello board or, you can make an analog Trello board on a piece of paper and help you learn how to prioritize and to execute and close out things that you need to do, whether it's schoolwork or whether it's projects that you have in your own free time on hobbies. Or if it's a work schedule, like maybe, in a few years when she has a part-time job or something like that, she's going to have to manage her own time. She's going to have to manage all the tasks that she needs to do. She's going to be hopefully going to kind of like a community college, high school combo here in Washington. That's a lot to manage. And she's going to have to learn these skills. And it's great that we're giving it a try. We're going to see if it works.
As we told her, like all these different methods we've used, we're like, some of them totally failed. Some of them, they were great for the time period we used them for. And now we've
something changed
kind of moved on, so we'll try this. We'll see how it goes. But I think giving them a little more, input into it and visibility. I think the visibility into
that has been the difference.
Because it's in our brains. This is what we need to get done for the week or the day or whatever. But I feel like they think, it's just coming out of nowhere. Like we're just coming up with new tasks all the time and they can never actually get ahead or never finish the list.
That's the greatest task creator ever.
So when we started putting them on a whiteboard, just putting out what we had to do for the whole day, that worked really great. And they totally both clued into like, I can see this visibility. So if you're home every day and you want to just do that, we just had a whiteboard and we just wrote down all the things.
I would tend to make the whiteboard the night before, right before going to sleep or something.
We let them like prioritize and say what order we were going to do the things on the whiteboard on. It worked out great. For us, we're kind of making that like a digital whiteboard now because of having to do this team approach to homeschool education.
We're on the go too. We're not just always at home.
Right. And because of this, we're having to do it a little differently. But so that's our reward stuff. We talked about leveling up. So the last thing is, this is kind of this time of renewal for us too, where we really remember as the other kids go off to school on the school bus, like why we're here. And if you're a new homeschooling parent, and this is your very first time and you've probably been maybe dabbling over the summer, you've been looking into curriculum. Now it's like, okay, now it's time to actually like do this thing. Just take a moment and breathe because it's all going to be fine. It's going to be fine. And you know what? Either it's going to be great, your family will really enjoy it, and this will be the right fit for your family, or it's not going to be the right fit for your family, and that's also okay too. The public school will always be there. It will always be there, ready to accept you. So just it's okay to try things and know that this first, your fall might be as rocky as our fall is going to be, even though we've been homeschooling for so many years because of all the new stuff we've got going on in our lives. But if you're new to this, it's okay. It's okay to not have all the answers. We still do not have all the answers.
No.
I don't think anybody does, because it's like homeschooling it's not like you teach the same grade for 20 years, right? These are our kids. And as we learn and grow as teachers, they're growing and changing as well, and their needs are changing. And so it's always kind of new in some ways.
It's so true.
Right? It's never like, oh, you've done one. I mean, maybe if you have lots of children and you're like, hey, all my 5-year-olds all went through the same phase. But in general, it seems like it's always new.
It's
It's always changing. And we're having to change and adapt. So, I've seen plenty of people, we were just back to Girl Scouts and stuff, and I've seen a couple of them who were just like,
Yeah, we're back.
It's like, yeah. And it's okay. Even the veteran homeschoolers are feeling the pressure of this time of year. So don't feel, if this is your first time homeschooling, that this pressure you're feeling is like unique. I think this is a more stressful time of year for all of us. So take a break.
Find your community. That's
Find your community.
One of the best ways to kind of alleviate a lot of those types of fears are finding other people just like you. And you see what they're going through, see what they're experiencing, asking them questions, can really help you get through that initial stickiness. But even if you're a veteran schooler and you feel like maybe you're on an island, maybe this might be a good time for you to go connect with a new community, or find some other homeschoolers and other homeschooling parents. Almost sort of like you as a homeschooler need to find homeschooler friends. You as a homeschooling parent need to socialize. All right. Yeah. There's a socialization problem amongst the homeschooling.
It's true. And what you'll find is that even those folks who have homeschooled for many years are more stressed at this time of year.
Yeah. Or like if you've been homeschooling for a long time, maybe you feel like you need to change it up. Maybe like you feel like I'm in the ruts and I just keep driving in the same direction, and I don't know if it's working anymore, or like I'm feeling like I'm getting, kind of like bound up a little bit. Maybe we need to change something up. Get out there, go find your community. We understand it's a start of a new year-ish type of time frame, and really embrace this idea of leveling up, whether it's you, your family, your students. It's time to get out there and do good things.
Yeah. So that's our notes of encouragement. So, happy back to homeschool for everyone, back to activities, back to, but also back to museums and parks and zoos being empty. So congratulations, all of you.
Well, and the fact that the Woodland Park Zoo, we found out, serves Dole Whip.
They serve Dole Whip. I had no idea.
Yeah, we're going.
Yeah, we got to go. So anyway, hope you all have a wonderful back to homeschool season. Give yourself some grace, take a breath. Just work through this stress and all the changes that come with this time of year until you find your footing. Thanks so much for joining us today and making us a part of your homeschool journey. Please engage with us on social media. Join our Homeschool Together podcast group on Facebook and find us at Homeschool Together Podcast on Instagram. We'd love to hear your feedback, questions, and recommendations. Until next time.
Happy homeschooling!